Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with today's guest, but as always, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, don't hit that fast forward button just yet. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director, and I promise you will love working with them too. They're going to make your job so much easier. So take the next 3 minutes and listen to our shout outs. Here we go. We want to thank our good friends at Snap Raise, the #1 online fundraising platform. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and then ended up with little, if any, return? You need to stop right here. Go to snapraise.com. Like I said, it's the best. We used it at our school with tremendous success. Our coaches loved it, our parents loved it, and like I said, it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms, but go to snapraise.com. Get started today. We also want to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com and get started. It's digital ticketing that offers more support, more security, and more customization. The Hometown team will help you make the best online ticketing solution for your school. That's hometownticketing.com. We also want to say thanks to our friends at Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Go to their website and check out their interactive touchscreen. That's right, touchscreen video consoles. It's a great way to show off your school record boards or your school's Hall of Fame, or simply tell your school's most compelling stories. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. We want to thank Huddle for their support. Go to huddle.com and change the way you see the game. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided that let them coach our kids up to their highest level. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. We want to say thanks to Gipper, the official social media graphic solution for the podcast. And if you go to Gipper.com, their team will help you create world-class content that's going to allow you to celebrate your athletes and promote your teams. Gipper's used and trusted by over 3,000 high school and college programs. It's professional graphic design made simple. Go to Gipper.com. Tell them you heard about it on the podcast. We want to say thanks to Home Campus. Home Campus is the official and exclusive high school and state association management platform, and it's something that you're going to use, just like I did, every single day. You're going to use it for scheduling, for communicating with your state association, with your coaches, with your parents, setting up rosters, reporting scores. How about athlete eligibility and clearance? Who doesn't do that every day? Well, Home Campus is going to help you do it better and easier. Go to homecampus.com and find out just how easy it can be. Homecampus.com. We want to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. At my school, we use surveys for just about everything, for kids, for coaches, for parents. And the information that comes back is almost always over the top positive. And that information is tremendously valuable when you're talking with that squeaky wheel parent that wants to gripe, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of your parents and your student athletes. That's athleticsurveys.com.
Right.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got one of our mainstays. She's been with us for a number of episodes. Listeners to this podcast will recognize the name Jennifer Garrett. If you're new, you've been missing out and you need to start following her. Jen just has a tremendous background. She is a branding expert for professional athletes. She's a best-selling author ×2. She's also the host of her very own popular and successful podcast. And I'm going to throw this in. She holds 7, that's right, 7 college degrees, some of them advanced degrees. So we are just always excited to have her back on the show. Jennifer Garrett, welcome back to Wednesday Wisdom.
Well, thank you, Jake. It's so good to be here yet again, and I appreciate everyone tuning in. So today I've got a few things I want to share with you, and it really goes around this quote that I saw someone post on social media earlier today, and their quote of the day was, "How you think affects how you perform." And I really like that. And I said, you know what? That's going to be what I talk about on this Wednesday Wisdom segment. And so for me, Jake mentioned that I have a couple of books. One of them is titled Dominate the Game, How Life Changes When You Show Up. And he also mentioned my podcast called Move the Ball. And on both of those, I kind of structure things around this theme of suiting up, showing up, and moving the ball. And so in order to keep that ball moving forward, you do have to suit up with the right mentality. You have to show up and put in action towards the right things. And so that suiting up really, in large part, there's preparation and some other things that go along with that, but also it's what you tell yourself. It's what do you think? A lot of people talk about practicing gratitude. Why do they do that? Because it goes into your mindset and it frames how you think and how you set the tone for the day. And so it's very important to make sure that you're thinking about positive thoughts. I think we know this, but sometimes it's easy to get lost in the chaos of the day or what we react to because we're checking our phones in the morning. And so we're on social media and we're seeing things and we're allowing that to negatively influence our thoughts. So I really want you to take away from today is think about how are you thinking? How are you suiting up? What are the thoughts that you're putting into your mind, not just in the morning, but as you go throughout the day? Because what you tell yourself in the morning, what you think will either lift you up or it's going to tear you down. And also it's going to affect the people around you. And we always want to be that good teammate that's, helping people to continue to move forward too. So I want you to focus when you're thinking about, okay, well, what should I be thinking about when it comes to positive energy? It's using words like I am, I will, I expect when you're thinking about your goals. And we mentioned my podcast a minute ago. So I'm kicking off season 5 of my podcast very soon. There will be a guest on there. His name is Tyrone Poole. Tyrone played in the NFL for 13 years. He was a defensive back, drafted first round, 22nd overall pick. On that episode, he talked about one of the things that he thinks is important in terms of high performance is visualization. So visualizing you achieving the goal that you have set for yourself or the outcome that you want. So you're not just putting it on a vision board, but you're thinking through it. You're stepping through in your mind. You see yourself. His example that he used when we recorded the episode was with his children who run track and field. And so you see yourself, being out there stretching on the side, getting ready to run the race, going through the actual exercise of running the race, crossing the finish line, doing those things. And you see that in your mind. And a lot of high performance coaches and experts will talk about the power of visualization. So I would encourage you to not only think about positive words and using I am, I will, I expect, but stepping through whatever it is that you're looking to achieve and seeing yourself accomplish that. Because what's going to happen is you're going to be more motivated and more focused to get the things done that you need to when you do those things versus just writing a goal down and saying, okay, I wrote it down, check the box, it's there. Like you need to see yourself completing the activity, and then the likelihood of you doing so is going to be that much greater. And then conversely, you want to also refrain from using the words or thinking of the words I can't, I won't, I don't, those things that have that negative connotation, those things, get rid of those as much as you can from your thoughts, because those are not going to help you to continue to be productive and move forward every day. So that's what I would really encourage you to think about is how are you suiting up in the morning? What are the thoughts that you're putting in your mind to start the day? Are you visualizing the outcomes you're looking to achieve on a daily, monthly, weekly basis? And continue to fuel yourself with positive energy and thoughts throughout the day. And you're going to notice that your productivity is going to go up because you're focused on the right things and you're taking action on those things consistently. The other thing I'm going to mention in closing is I mentioned social media earlier and how I got this quote of the day from looking at something online this morning. A lot of us, we tend to spend too much time on social media. If you're honest with yourself, and I'm guilty of this too at times, like take a look at how much time you're spending on social media. And I want to issue a challenge just for 7 days. Cut that time in half. Unless your social media time is something for a career or activities for promoting your school or things like that, business related, that's different. But when it comes to just consuming your own personal social media time, reduce that by half just for 1 week and notice how much more you get done when you've reduced that time and also fueled your mind with positive thinking in the morning and then continuing to refuel it with positive thoughts throughout the day, because how you think does affect how you perform, and what you spend your time on matters, right? We all have 24 hours in the day. That's a chapter that I talk about in my Dominate the Game book, is managing the game clock, those 24 hours, those 1,440 minutes. And so if you suit up with a positive mind and you keep that mindset and you focus on things you need to, again, visualizing the outcomes, then you're going to get so much further and achieve what you want. So that is my wisdom for today.
Well, you probably saw me scribbling down notes there. The message that you share is just so timely for our listeners who are primary athletic directors and coaches. And we always talk about, getting the athletes, prepared, mentally prepared. Everybody acknowledges how important mental performance and mental training is. But so often we neglect, as coaches ourselves, as athletic directors ourselves, and we need to, suit up and show up. And I just love the tips and the way that you explained it. This is for us, for the leaders, so we can go out there and be at our best for the things that we do. I love your phrase, to meet the chaos of the day. Great. Nothing describes an athletic director's daily schedule more than I think the chaos of the day. Again, once again, for our listeners, Jen has a lot of resources that you should really take advantage of. So rather than me stumble over them, Jen, can you share again the books and your podcast and how our listeners can find out more, or maybe how they can reach out and add you to their network?
Sure, absolutely. So I'll start with the books. The two books, the first one is called Move the Ball. And then the more recent one is that Dominate the Game book that I mentioned. Both of them are on Amazon, so you can find them there, or just, search whatever your favorite online retailer is, Target, Barnes and Nobles, etc., and you can find them there as well. The podcast, I would love for you to check out. Again, it's called Move the Ball. We talk a lot about high performance strategies and being able to get to that next level. So go check that out on whatever platform you are listening to your podcast on, this podcast or otherwise. It's on there too. And then if you want to get in touch with me, I've got a website. It's getinsidethehuddle.com. Of course, there's a sports reference there. It's got my contact info. I'm very heavily engaged on LinkedIn as well, so please reach out to me there. But if you go to my website, you've got my email there. You can feel free to send me a note. Always happy to chat.
Yeah, and Jen definitely has a strong LinkedIn game. A lot of posts, a lot of great information too. Jen, thanks as always for spending some time with us, and all the best as we move into, from our end, the spring sports season for coaches and athletic directors.
Thank you.
For our listeners, we do this every single week, and we also upload the Zoom recordings to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. Of course, we appreciate you listening. Come back next week for another great Wednesday Wisdom guest, and just about every day for new content on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. We're going to try to close this. Here we go. Always a great time with Jen Garrett. Make sure you check out, her podcast and her books. Great resources for ADs and leaders. Before we go, speaking of great resources, we want to give our sponsors a shout out one more time. Now, I used every single one of these companies. You should be using them too. They'll make your job that much easier. I want to say thanks to Gipper. Go to Gipper.com. Start creating world-class content to promote your athletes and your teams. I want to thank Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to Huddle.com for more information. Sideline Interactive indoor score tables and video boards. Probably the best purchase I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Want to thank Home Campus. Home Campus is something that you will use every single day, and it's going to make your job easier. Go to homecampus.com to get started. We want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. If you've never used a survey to take the pulse of your parents or your student athletes, you're really missing out on some great information. Go to athleticsurveys.com. We'd like to thank Hometown Ticketing, the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. I don't think I need to say anything more. Go to hometownticketing.com. VitalSignsWallOfFame.com. They have a mission to help you bring your school's legacy to life. Go to VitalSignsWallOfFame.com. Check out their products. You're going to be glad that you did. And finally, we want to say thanks to Snap Raise, the #1 online fundraising platform. Snap Raise works. We used it at our school. It's going to be good for you as well. Thanks again for listening to Wednesday Wisdom. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.